Hey guys, it's Mia here and welcome back once again, and today I have for you a book review. Now this is Before and Again by Barbara Belinsky. It's not the most exciting read. It's kind of like a look into real life. It's a made up story, but it's more realistic than most of the books I've read, and it's kind of down to earth and simple. This is not the book to read if you're looking for an exciting book. It's just kind of one that you just sit back and enjoy. Well, it's about this woman named Maggie. And in the beginning, she gets into an accident that causes her to lose her daughter. And so it spends the book talking about how she deals with that loss and showing how that loss affected her and that she's still not over it after almost 5 years. She moved away from the town where it happened because she couldn't stand to be there, because everywhere she looked, she saw her daughter and saw her failure. And she thinks because of this accident that she caused, because she took her eyes off the road for 1 second to look at her GPS, it was all her fault, even though the guy was speeding through the intersection at like 30 miles over the limit. So everything in her life falls apart after the accident, so she up and moves away, and then we fast forward to 5 years later, and you can see that that loss is still affecting her in a great way. Every time she sees something that reminds her of her daughter, she gets a tightening in her chest. It's like her heart's still breaking after all these years. And I can't imagine being a mom and losing your kid. I mean, I get that she feels like a failure, but it's just, how do you deal with something like that, even 5 years down the line? And it never makes fun of how she feels. It never, embellishes it or anything. It's a really straightforward look about loss, and that it can still affect you really far down the line. So she becomes a makeup artist because she had a scar on her head after the accident, so she wanted to learn how to cover that up and how to make herself look different, because she wanted to reinvent herself. She didn't want to be herself after the accident, because herself that caused the accident felt guilty, and she moved away from her hometown to get away from the publicity, to be different. So she gets to this small, tiny town, reinvents herself and her life and becomes a makeup artist in order to hide her face and help others hide their pain with their makeup. And I'm not just saying, oh, she helps people with their makeup because they feel insecure. No, she hides stuff like aging and like burn marks and stuff like that, like scars that you can actually see, not just to hide acne or to make herself look better. It's to cover actual damage done by things. So she does that in order to help herself and to help others with the same situation. And she's had this quiet little life for 5 years, and she's just getting to the point where maybe it's not so bad. I mean, she has her episodes with like PTSD, but it's not as bad as it first was. But, and you probably knew this but was coming, her past literally comes back to haunt her. Somehow her ex found out where she lived, and her ex-husband, not her boyfriend, this is her husband, he divorced her after the accident because, he kind of blamed her at the time for killing their kid. So they split. Her family disowned her over an accident. Anyway, so they split. Her family disowned her, so she had no one after this, none. When she needed someone the most, they all abandoned her. So that's another reason why she left after the accident. And so one day, out of the blue, her ex shows up. And she's like, at first she avoids him because she wants nothing to do with that life, you know. He divorced her. He shut her out. So she wants nothing to do with that past that she's trying to escape from. She came to this place to make a whole new life for herself, not be constantly reminded of the past. But here he is showing up out of nowhere. So she avoids him for a long while, all the while flashing back to happier times when she did have her daughter, which is starting to affect her, which, I mean, who wouldn't it affect? And then, once she starts to get over the fact that not only is her ex shown up again, but he purchased the business that she works at. So yeah, they're bound to run into each other. So they start talking again, and he kind of says that she is still his wife, even though he divorced her. He's like, no, we're still together. You're still my wife. I still love you. No, she's not your wife. You divorced her. She is no longer your wife. So you showing up here and acting like you're still together is not okay. So then he keeps trying to say, well, I still love you. You're still my wife, which he's not. So there's a red flag on that one. And then, so she starts trying to deal with him coming back and all of this. And then, because she doesn't like the media with what happened, the accident, they were all over her. Like, why does the media do that? Someone is having a tragedy. They don't want a bunch of people shoving cameras in their face. Let them breathe. But you know, you gotta get the scoop. So she doesn't like cameras. They flash her back to another time. And there is a reason I'm saying this. Because one of her friends gets into some trouble because of their son. And they're trying to solve this whole big mystery with like this internet fraud, and all these accounts have gotten hacked, and they're trying to figure out who did it and why they did it and whatnot. I'm not going to tell you any more than that because it's major spoilers, and I just want to give you the gist of the book. And then, on top of her ex showing up, like that wasn't bad enough, like he literally tracked her down. He used information on cards that she would send to her mom, because even though her mom disowned her after the accident, she still loves her mom, so she still tried to keep in touch, and that's what her ex used to get to her. Not a red flag at all. Not stalkery at all. Note the sarcasm. So they start kind of trying to talk because they work together. They kind of have to talk because he's her boss. So she finally goes home after a circus of all the media cameras and her ex and all that she's trying to deal with. She goes home, and there's her brother, another person that disowned her and stopped talking to her. And you know what he says? He says, I ran away from home, granted he's an adult, and now I live here. He doesn't even ask her. He's just like, now I live here. At least the upside is he's like a very, very good chef, so she gets good cooking. But who the hell does that? I haven't seen you for 5 years, haven't even attempted to talk to you, but I'm just going to show up and then tell you that I live in your house now? Not even going to pay rent, not even going to warn you, not even going to tell you why at first, just say, oh, I live here. So she's understandably pissed at that and tries to get him to leave, but she also feels guilty because she's like, well, he's my brother and I do still love him, but this is my safe place. Why is everyone from my past showing up here? What do they want? And her ex, had called her brother because he's a chef and he needed someone to work at the restaurant that's part of the spa she works at. So that's why her brother's there. So her ex is just bringing all her past back into her life. And she's like, I hate both of you. You need to get out of here. I moved to this town to get away from all of you. And then you're trying to show up like nothing happened. You're trying to show up like you didn't disown me or didn't divorce me. And that's not okay. And they just don't get the hint. They keep up and keep up and keep up. And she's just not having it, which who would be? So it's more of that. And then her mom ends up coming back into the picture. And that's kind of where the book starts to end. Like, I'm almost done with it. So, I don't know. I just think it's kind of selfish of her brother and her ex. Mainly her ex, because he's the one that orchestrates all of this. And it really annoys me how he just shows up and says, oh, you're still my wife. I still love you. You divorced her. She is not your wife, she's not your wife in any sense. She's not your wife legally. She's not your wife wanting to be. She's not your wife. Not at all your wife anymore. And he still tries to act like he is. And because she is lonely, because she kind of isolated herself, she lets him in. I mean, there's one part in the book where he literally just in the middle of the night comes to her house and invites himself in and up to her bedroom. Like, boy, back off. Back off. Just no. No. That is not all right. That is stalking. That is creepy. Not romantic. But it's just stuff like that, and it continues with her dealing with all that life. And there's more to it with, like, trials and everything because of what happened with her friend, and her dealing with the media yet again, even though she doesn't want to. And it's a really realistic look on grief and loss and how it can still affect you years later. Except for maybe the stalking ex-husband and stuff like that. But if you're someone that likes more down-to-earth, like, easy books, like, when I say easy, I mean just sit back, relax, and read. It's not like heart-pumping fantasy that gets you all excited. It's just a real calm, like, realistic look on grief. And if you're someone that likes realistic, down-to-earth books, then this one's a good read. I'm enjoying it so far. So, yeah, I suggest picking this one up if you want to. So, as always, if you guys enjoyed, be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and ring that bell down below to stay up to date on future videos. See you next time. Bye, guys.